All right, we should be recording right now. Hello, welcome to our promote workshop for spring of 2023. The years just fly by. I believe this is probably about the 5th year. I started in April of 2017 in CCLCM Faculty Affairs office. And I believe we did our first one in fall of that year. So I'm glad everybody's here. We are recording, like I said. I'm going to go ahead and play a video that Dr. Kabu had made a few years ago when she received a grant for diversity and inclusion in faculty appointments. And let's listen to this. Let me make sure my volume's up. And here we go. If you can't hear it, tell me.
I had gotten into medicine to become an academic physician. There's a hierarchy. And there's a respect for titles. And to me, an academic title went without saying.
I think titles matter, and I've been asked to be a part of many national and international committees because of the title of professor.
My department chair and institute chair had been encouraging me, so now my title carries more of a mid-career weight.
There are multiple benefits when people have these academic appointments. First of all, the pride of belonging to the faculty for the medical school. Number 2 is the academic prestige, is the recognition you have outside of the Cleveland Clinic. It is a big deal nationally.
The title has brought me many, many opportunities for research.
When you need national grants and you have an academic appointment, versus not having the academic appointment, that's the difference between getting the grant or not getting the grant.
When companies come to Cleveland Clinic to look for enrollment of patients in clinical trials, often they want the title when they're looking at, well, what doctors will be principal investigator. So I think it does help with that.
We are a training institution. So I think it's important for our students and residents to see us going to that next level, especially with more women being in medical school classes now.
There are very few people of color that have a professor title. People of diverse backgrounds can be professor too.
There's no doubt that students and trainees will have a different type of respect for you if you have an academic title. They know that you've earned it.
It's very important to move to the next level because this reflects the contribution you are doing to medicine.
I think it gives credence to all of the work in terms of being able to get to that level, to get the recognition for it is important.
To me, it was a natural continuation of my journey. The academic title is definitely part of who we are.
Getting this title of professor really is not that difficult. There is work that's involved, but most of us are going to work anyhow. So go for it.
All right. If you've ever been to the workshop before, you've seen that, but I do find it's a great video. It really highlights how important it is to have a faculty appointment. Hopefully everybody can see now. Lisa, let me know if you can see my first slide on my PowerPoint.
Yeah.
Yay. Everything's going so great. All right. Let's keep it going. So my name's Denise Lancaster. I'm the Faculty Affairs Manager of Lerner College of Medicine's Faculty Affairs Department. Usually the first name on our list is Dr. Kabu. She's usually here, but she is at a workshop right now, so she's not able to attend. We also have Nicole Deming here. She is Assistant Professor at Case and the Assistant Dean for Faculty Affairs and Human Resources at Case. She's my go-to person when I have questions. Also speaking today, I apologize for not having you on there, is Eliza Galinsky, and she is a coordinator at Case. And she will be presenting to give you more information on faculty appointments. Let me go to my next slide. All right. So we are going to cover why you should make time to promote yourself. it is important, like you heard in the video. A lot of people who've been at Cleveland Clinic for a long time before we had the college may not realize how important it is nationally to have a faculty appointment. It's when you tell somebody you're a staff member at Cleveland Clinic, excuse me, they're not exactly sure what that means. But when you say you're a professor or an associate professor, everybody understands that. Each hospital has their own staff titles, but when you talk an academic rank, everybody understands that. And actually, Cleveland Clinic Lerner College of Medicine of Case Western Reserve, Case has one of the more difficult programs to get a professorship in, but that just means you've really proven yourself. And so I think it's really important for your career to get an appointment like this, because like it said in the video, you can use it for grants, being on committees and all other types of things you might want to be involved in. So we'll go over the different faculty tracks and ranks, and we'll talk a little bit about the difference between a new appointment and a promotion, and then about moving between the two tracks. So we have here at CCLCM, we have the regular track, which Case calls full-time, and we have our clinical or adjunct track, which Case calls part-time. And then we'll talk for a minute about transferring between Case affiliated institutions. All right, so why pursue a faculty appointment? I kind of mentioned this already, but it's promote yourself and get credit for everything you're doing. Most people, when they apply, they already have what they need to get the appointment. So it's just a matter of applying. So take the time and go ahead and apply. It makes sure that your staff rank matches your faculty rank. You'd hate to be full staff at the Cleveland Clinic and have no faculty appointment. That's a bit of a mismatch, and it's best to have them both. You can position yourself for grants. You can get involved more in academic medicine and policy. You can be on committees at Case, be a faculty council representative, be on governance committees. And then, oh, we already watched the video. I started with that. We got that done. All right. Benefits once you become a faculty member. Remember, I just had someone email me yesterday and said, now that I'm a faculty member, do my children get discounted Case tuition? And I had to let him know that once you get a faculty appointment, you're still a Cleveland Clinic employee. You do not become a Case employee. So you do not get Case benefits. So no tuition or anything like that. But you do get some things that are helpful with research and those types of things that you may be doing. So you get a Case ID card, you get a Case email address and network access. You're allowed to use a gym over at Case if you'd like. You get discounts at their bookstore, and you possibly get electronic access to Case libraries. So that is dependent on your work location. If you're in Florida watching this workshop right now, you cannot have access to Case libraries. You have to be in the Cleveland location for Cleveland Clinic. And let's now talk about CCLCM appointments. Please note that they're always non-tenured. So we, when we began our college in 2004 and partnered with Case, we said that all CCM appointments would be non-tenured. The regular track, we call it, it means that you're making significant involvement with academic medicine and teaching. So your CV is going to show that it's going to be very robust with everything you're doing. Now, of course, when you're applying for, say, assistant professor in the beginning, you may not have as much in your CV, but you are dedicated to academic medicine. Those in the clinical track, part-time, they do limited academic activities and teaching. Generally, they're in the region, and they just aren't involved with day-to-day teaching, or maybe they're not writing as many papers or getting as involved with journals and societies in their specialty. Oh, let me say one more thing. This is something new. If you do work at main campus, if your primary location for Cleveland Clinic is main campus, then we always want you applying in the regular track. All right, so the regular track ranks. The highest is professor, and we have associate professor, assistant professor, and for some people that are in LRI, Learner Research Institute, they would apply for instructor. Not many people apply for that, but it's only for those in LRI. Now, the regular track allows you more benefits than the clinical track. It allows you to vote on case issues, like I serve on committees over a case, be a faculty representative. The clinical track, you can only vote on a few issues over a case. These are the exact same appointments. They just have a prefix in front of them that says clinical or adjunct. So we have certain ranks, and if there's no prefix, they're in the regular track. And if they have a prefix in front of them, they're in the clinical track or adjunct. For the CCLCM, the clinical means every department other than molecular medicine and biomedical engineering. And of course, any questions on any of this, you can always email Faculty Affairs CCLCM at any time at ccf.org if you have questions. All right, so this workshop today mostly focuses on promotions, but it also focuses on new appointments, and we'll go over that. But for a promotion, we call them senior promotions. That's when you promote from assistant professor to associate professor, or from associate professor to professor. And these are the items that you'll need in your application. There's a few more than this actually, but these are the main ones. So your CV has to be in our format. You're going to need a nomination letter, a personal statement. Some of you may do a teaching portfolio. You always need teaching evaluations and a summary that goes with it. Everyone needs referees. And there's a declaration form to let us know that you're declaring you want to go for promotion. When you apply for in the regular track, but for a new appointment, not a promotion, there's a few less items that you need. So it's technically a little easier. You don't need the declaration form. You do not have to have teaching evaluations unless you would like to submit them. And there's a few other differences, but really everything we're going to talk today about will cover a new appointment in the regular track or a promotion in the regular track. And when Lisa talks, she's going to go more in depth on each of these bullet points. All right, so if you're applying in the clinical track, which is part-time, you can see there's a lot less materials that you need. And that shows that it's not as prestigious to be in the clinical track as it is for the regular track. You don't need as many documents, and referees, you only need colleague. So sometimes people will say, what's the difference? I'm a clinician. I should always go in the clinical track. And that's not true. Just because you see the word clinical doesn't mean that all doctors should be in this track. Again, this track is for people not as interested in academic medicine, not as interested in research, writing papers, lecturing, being on committees. All right, so there are no deadlines at CCLCM. So if you're somebody who is, because this workshop is open to everybody affiliated with Case Western Reserve. So if you're on this workshop and you work at Metro or UH or the VA, you're gonna wanna look on the Case website to see when submission deadlines are for promotion. We don't have any over here. We take your promotions anytime you wanna submit them, and they'll just move along and go to Case when they're ready, meaning when you have all your documents in, when we have your referee letters and you passed our committee. then it'll go over there where we took away the deadline we have. So there's no deadlines for promotions, there's no deadlines for new appointments, and this goes for the regular track and the clinical adjunct track. All right, so here's a little synopsis of the senior promotion timeline. And this, it kind of covers new appointments too. So here, we're going to process your application. My office has 2 full-time people and 1 intern working on applications and other documents we need for the office, but we're going to process your application and we're going to get your referee letters. When your packet's ready, we send it to our CAP committee, which stands for Committee on Appointments and Promotions. And they're going to, 2 people are going to review your packet, and then there's going to be a vote. And if you pass, then you're going to go on to CWRU for approval. If you don't pass, which is maybe like 3 people a year, maybe out of the hundreds of applications we have, they go to various committees. There's an appeal process. We're not going to talk about that. It hardly ever happens. And my office would work with you on the appeal. And we, usually end up passing. All right, so you're all done at CCLCM. Now we're going to send your packet over to CASE for approval. CASE has what's called a capped committee because their committee votes on appointments, promotions, and tenure. So they review all applications from scientists at CASE, doctors and physicians at Metro, UH, and the VA, along with Lerner College of Medicine applications. If they vote and approve you, then your application packet goes to the SOM dean, the School of Medicine dean, the provost, the president, and they approve it. When all those are done, then it goes to the board of trustees at CASE, and they approve promotion applications either in December or June usually. And all promotions always become effective either January 1 or July 1. This is the only thing, these last 2 bullet points here under CASE are the only things that won't apply to new appointments. New appointments can go to the board of trustees at any time during the year. Promotions only go these 2 times. All right. And the last thing I'm going to talk about is transfers. So the only time you can transfer an appointment to CCLCM is if you are currently at a CWRU affiliated institute, which I mentioned previously. That's UH, VA, and Metro Health. Then you can transfer. So if you have a CWRU associate professor appointment, you will transfer that to associate professor at CCLCM. Once it's transferred, then you can do what you want. If you're ready to promote, or you want to say you transfer in the clinical track and you want to move up to the regular track, you can do that. That would be a new appointment. Promotions are only when you promote in the track you are in. So if you're a clinical assistant professor right now and you're thinking I need to promote, really, that's not what it would be. It would be a new appointment. And so when you go on our online application system, you will see under new appointments, all the regular track ones, and you could move to one of those. So transfers are only for those. We have many people who say, I worked at Mayo or Johns Hopkins and I want to transfer. We cannot accept those type of transfers. CASE only allows affiliated ones to transfer. And your CV just needs to be up to date, and there's other instructions that are located on our website, or you can email us for transferring. And that is all I have. Let's see if we have any questions right now before we go ahead and let Eliza take over here. Let me stop sharing. All right. Oh, there we are, all Brady Bunch like. Hi there, everybody.
Diane, I think the only question was whether or not the PowerPoint presentations will be available.
Yes, I will email them to everybody in the next day or 2. Which could mean Monday, right? Because I'm talking 1 or 2 business days only. So yes, I will go ahead and send them, and I believe I can send cases too, right, Eliza? That's okay. All right, so I'll send that to everybody. Okay, good. All right, and Carrie, oh, Carrie, you're so sweet. Okay, good. Thank you. All right, any questions anybody wants to shout out? You can type them in the chat or just unmute. Tyler, you go ahead, unmute, and Dr. Albin, go ahead, and it looks like your hand's up.
Oh, I may have done that on accident. Sorry, I'm good.
Okay.
Thank
Okay,
you, though.
Okay, sure. All right, Eliza, you ready?
Does someone have a question?
Yeah,
Oh.
I have a question.
Oh, okay.
So I'm a physician assistant. So if I apply for Catalyst grant, I cannot apply just by myself. I have to have a faculty or staff to apply together. So if I get the assistant professor academic title, could I apply independently?
So Catalyst grants, those are Cleveland Clinic grants, correct?
Correct.
Yes, you would have to talk to the Catalyst people because we can only give you information regarding faculty appointments. And we don't know what the Catalyst grant would allow. If they're saying they would only let a staff member, then this does not change your staff ranking. This is totally separate. So at a lot of institutions across the US, when you get hired, say like the University of Alabama, they hire you as an associate professor, say, and you just have that and you see patients and you teach maybe. At the Cleveland Clinic, it's different. You can get hired as a Cleveland Clinic staff member, and that does not mean you have a faculty appointment. You have to go ahead and apply with us. So then what'll happen is you'll have a staff appointment and a faculty appointment. But you will never have just one, and your faculty one will not affect your staff one. So you will not become staff getting this appointment.
Okay. So if I get the, thank you. If I get assistant professor, that's faculty, right? Academic title. So could I apply for NIH grants independently?
That would be something you would have to ask a researcher about.
Okay. So what's the advantage to get the academic professional title?
Well, there are a lot of grants that want you to have a faculty appointment. We're just not involved in what those are. And so you would have to talk to somebody in research or a mentor or something that could guide you through that. But I know sometimes it's actually when you're a junior member, it's not good to actually go up too high because you can't apply for grants that are meant for, say, assistant professors. But we don't know all about that. You'd have to talk to somebody else.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, for NIH grants, there are certainly advantages. Again, I think it is sometimes viewed differently when it is a faculty appointment. And of course, some conditions of getting, especially junior grants, is that you have a faculty appointment. So some of the K awards, it's an obligation actually on the institution to provide you with a faculty appointment if you get one of those grants.
Right,
Okay,
but,
thank you.
but going by what your staff title is, you should talk to somebody that you work with, your chair, to talk about that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Eliza, it looks like you're up.
Okay, thank you, Deneen. I'm going to start sharing my screen.
Wonderful.
Okay, please let me know if you can see the presentation. I just need to.
I sure can, and it's full screen. It looks great.
Good.
Okay. Okay, I just need to check. Okay, I guess I had notes, but we'll just do it like this. So hi, everyone. My name is Eliza Galinsky. I work in the Faculty Affairs Department at the School of Medicine. I'm one of the two faculty affairs coordinators. The other one is Mary Elizabeth Spahn, and we work together on the entire process. Our assistant dean is Nicole Deming, who's on the call. Cindy Cabu is our vice dean. And then we also have Cynthia Kim, who's the assistant director for faculty affairs. One second. Sorry, it's my first time. Okay, there we go. Okay, so promotion's a good thing. We want you guys to get promoted. As Diane spoke about how important it was on so many levels. Right now, this presentation, though, is going to focus on senior level. Again, as Diane explained, there's 5 different ranks, except for the fact that CCLCM does not have senior instructor, correct? That's the.
Sorry, I was muted. Yes, we just don't use it.
Oh, okay, fine. So, as I said, so right now we're going to focus on the associate professor and the professor promotion. Okay, how did you guys get here? So I'm going to go in the background of appointment, how everybody got their appointments. We were looking for people who had expert knowledge in his or her academic field, a commitment to continuing development in their competence, a dedication to effective teaching, commitment to continuing program of research or other advanced creative activity, including production of art or artistic performance, or where more appropriate to the particular academic context, professional service activities, and a willingness to assume a fair share of university administrative and faculty tasks. Service tasks, excuse me. You can find all this information as part of our handbook, and if it isn't clickable, we will send you the links, but it should be clickable in the PDF that we will send out. So how does this work? So all candidates are requested to we request for areas of excellence that candidates will focus on. So it's going to be either research, teaching, or professional service. Professional service includes both administrative and clinical service. So it would be one or the other. So as Danielle was explaining, you guys have a rolling promotion cycle. Other schools don't. So the way it works is that once the package is ready and complete for the provost, if it's ready by September 1st, 2023, the promotion date will be January 1st, 2024. If the package is ready and complete by January 15th, 2024, the promotion date will be July 1st, 2024. So again, I'm going to reiterate what Janine said. Our CCLCM only has the non-tenure track. So out of the 3 areas of excellence, if your major strength is either teaching or clinical service, in order to get promoted, the candidate must show excellence or recognition in regional for associate, a professor, or a national recognition, regional level for associate professor, or national recognition for professor rank. When it comes down to teaching, the only difference is that we ask you that you submit a teaching portfolio. It can be no more than 25 pages long. On our side, we submit it when we ask for letters of request. This is part of your package that potential referees will look at. So what's included in the teaching portfolio? It has your philosophy of teaching and personal development. There's a teaching inventory. There's any kind of important teaching contributions that you've done, and evaluations and awards should definitely be included in this portfolio. If you choose clinical excellence to be your area, your primary area, we look for participation in professional societies and especially leadership positions, invitation to present at academic medical centers on clinical expertise, and development of new practice methods and recognition of that. Along with these areas of excellence, we ask that you select another area of excellence that you have made contributions in. So again, it would be picking out of one of the 3: teaching, research, or clinical service. Now, research is a little bit different. Research accomplishments may be made either as an individual or in the team science setting. And if you choose team science setting, candidates relying on this must show their own originality, creativity, and indispensability of your contributions. Again, research is a little bit different when it comes down to promotion. If you're going for associate professor, you must have a national level of recognition. For professor, it must be sustained excellence and enhanced recognition. So your CV is really important. We have a link. Again, CCLCM might be using a different format. CASE uses, this is a link to the CASE format. In terms of promotion, the CV is really important because we ask that you add, even if you had a poster, just please add and keep on updated Dineen and their team, because what a faculty member might not see as super important, a CFA team member might be super impressed by. So again, as faculty coordinators, we're always asking on our end, please send us an update, and you just never know what will be the wow factor in your CV. Find mentors and network among similar situated colleagues. You never know what you're going to learn from them. When you have your annual evaluation, use it to your benefit when you speak to your chair or division director. Discuss your chances of promotion and your progress at that meeting. Please come in with some ideas on your agenda. That way you have your set as to how the whole process is going to go. And honestly, if you forget a question, at least you know you've taken notes before, so you come in prepared. Get to know colleagues at other institutions and professional organizations. Present papers, review for journals, present visiting lectures, accept visiting appointments. Anything professional that goes beyond CASE will be really worth it for you, will be definitely worth it for your advantage. You'll become recognized in your field. Please document your teaching. This is one of the weakest parts of almost every candidate's file, and the record of teaching. Document any kind of teaching responsibilities that you have as part of keeping your CV up to date. There are teaching evaluations and summary of these evaluations that will be submitted with your package to the CAPT, but that I think Dineen picks up those, collects all of those, correct? Oh, you're on mute.
Hi, yes. Well, no, they have to actually get them themselves and upload them. If they can't find any, they can email Faculty Affairs CCLCM and ask for help with that. If they really can't find any, and it normally happens more with an LRI person who is not doing maybe as much teaching, and it's more at the bench, they're teaching people that are rotating through, then we usually try to get extra trainee letters for them if they don't have it, but they can still go up for promotion.
All right, thank you. Now we're talking about service contributions. So part of the referees, as Dineen mentioned, were service colleagues, but I'll explain a little bit more about that. So service contributions, they're important for junior faculty, especially senior faculty. I've heard Nicole make this presentation many times. So be picky is essentially, Nicole can jump in whenever she would like, but be definitely just be picky about which ones you choose. So by service, we mean good citizenship, which means service on committees, administration, contributions to university or welfare or hospital welfare, professional memberships and activities, research review committees, editorial boards, community health efforts, educational and professional society committees, and leadership in community health organizations. So as you can tell, there's a lot of options. Scholarship is really important for promotion. We don't have a definition for scholarship, but the key concepts do include evidence-based research and teaching, peer review, hypotheses-driven research, whether concerning biomedical science or education. Make yourself indispensable. That's why it's one of the last slides. Try to find a niche or the role that no one else in your department can play. And you're responsible for your own promotion for your research, teaching, and service. not your chair or your division director, but you. Take control. Thank you very much for your time.
Wonderful. Thank you. That was great. All
Oh,
right.
so you're still sharing? Okay.
Yeah, there we go. Sorry.
That's okay. Nicole.
No,
do
it's
you-
one of my worst fears is that my email will be shown and no one wants to see my inbox. It's awful. So thank you, Deneen and Lisa, for going over the presentation and the process. There are a couple things that I just wanted to mention to those on the call is that please know we want you to get promoted. Like all of our efforts are to make sure that you understand the criteria, you understand what goes into it. And then the second piece is once you know, let us know how we can help. One of the biggest advantages of a faculty appointment is that you have colleagues that are shared interests. You're at an academic center for a reason. There are opportunities here that are not necessarily in other places. We have professional development on your career, on advancement, on how to become a better teacher, how to talk to your patients, how to deliver bad news, what kind of research support and collaboration can you do? We have such a talented faculty. It is the greatest honor to review these applications and to see everything that you're doing. And so what I find most rewarding with my faculty appointment is that I have access to these colleagues and that I have access to these resources, not just within the School of Medicine, but within the university. So there are fellowship programs within the university to work on research and teaching. And I think we need to do a better job of sharing those. So I guess based on your interest, let us help you advance. And one way that we can then recognize your expertise is to get you promoted, and we want to see you promoted. So I would just say, we're here for you. You're doing incredible work already. And if promotion is something that you are interested in, we will be there for you.
Same here with me, everything she said.
I like it, just ditto. We're very excited.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions?
It's gotta be some.
It's almost dinner time. We're all hungry.
I know, but we've never been done.
It's
Dr.
not
Miller?
dinner time here in Las Vegas. It's only 3 o'clock here.
Oh, then
You could still be hungry for an afternoon snack.
Yes, that is probably true. So one of the things that I wanted to clarify, and this was a new, so when I went through the promotion to associate last time, there were very strict deadlines and like everything had to be in at a very specific time of year. And I just want to clarify that that's no longer the case.
That's true. It's no longer the case.
One of the reasons for that change is at the request of the School of Medicine with our chair's support, we said there's no reason why we can't do senior level promotions twice a year. And because that deadline wasn't such a hard stop there, you would have to wait an entire 12 months or more if you missed a deadline.
That's
with
the
it
vote
being
that I've been
6
in.
months, it just opened it up. And so as soon as we get the packet, we send it forward, but we didn't want to add deadline stress. And so whenever you're ready, Dineen's team will work on it, and whenever they complete it, they send it to us.
Yes. I know some people like deadlines, so I could make one up for you if that would help, but otherwise, no.
So, and then the other question that I had too is when I went through this process before, I remember that there was a really lovely packet that laid out very detailed and explicit requirements and criteria and documents, and like a checklist almost. I don't know where to find that information now, but one of the key things that I do remember from that is that there was a specific minimum time and rank before even eligibility would be considered.
Mm-mm.
Is that still the case?
There never was one. It has an application timeline, how long the application will take, but we've case bylaws say that there is no requirement. I mean, we get referees sometimes who write letters and say, at our institution, you must be assistant professor for 7 years before you can move up. Case
Yeah.
has nothing like that. You
Oh,
can be
wow.
ready in 2 years or you can be ready in 15. You know, because you're not tenured, so you're not tied to, you have to get it done at a certain point. So no, there's no deadline. It's when you've reached the reputation. And you also have to remember that what the committee and referees are all looking at is what you did since your last appointment or
Sure.
promotion.
Right,
So
right.
a lot of people go, I'm ready, and then you look and they only have a few new things. And it's all the new things that everybody is going to be looking at. So whenever you think you have the new ones and your reputation meets the requirement, that's all you need.
Okay. I will probably follow up with you via email because I have some additional questions, and I actually emailed Dr. Kabu as well. I know her quite well. I have some specific personal questions that I can follow up on with you later.
Okay. All
Thank
right.
you for the
sounds good.
clarification.
Yeah, of course. Let's see, Dr. Taylor, Stevens. Is that how you say it? Never know if it's Steffens or Stevens. You said a question about assistant professor. Let's do it.
Yeah, thank you. It is Stevens. You got it right. So I'm in the unique situation where I have been at the clinic for 2 years as a resident and then fellow, and am now staff. And I know for the referee names, it requires 6 for the new application, but it has the stipulation of those who are just out of training that they need to be supervisor level colleagues.
Correct.
And that in order to have the chair nomination letter, one of your referee names cannot be your chair. And
Correct.
given I've been here the last 2 years, and essentially all of my colleagues that I would list, one of them would be decreased because he's also my chair. So wondering any advice on how to go about the referee names. Could a training director count? Could like an umbrella supervisor who was a fellow count?
I probably should let Nicole answer. I don't like them to be somebody who's not an MD or a PhD. So I would tell you that there's got to be 6 people that know you. So you could go back to your residency, or you could pick people outside of your department. Maybe you rotated through somewhere or did something with somebody else that they could talk about it. You're going to put in 6 names. We only need to get 3 letters.
Okay.
But yeah, you can't duplicate your chair. And now I'm going to ask Nicole what she thinks, because I never have. What do you think about like an education administrator who's, you know, has a bachelor's or something writing a letter?
So, you know, good for all referees is that we're asking about a faculty appointment. So generally we ask them to have a faculty appointment. So there would be a reason, or there should be some reason why it would be someone without a faculty appointment that you're asking for this. Maybe it was someone in the SIM center that you develop curriculum with and can talk about, you know, your impact on the way you teach, or something where maybe that isn't relevant, but it's one of your responsibilities and they absolutely are knowledgeable and an expert in that. But generally speaking, we've all had a lot of teachers, and those are the individuals that are faculty that can write those letters. And then it just needs to not be, someone who's already weighing in. So the reason why you can't ask your chair because they're writing the nomination letter is that's they're weighing in that letter. We want another person to.
Right.
And I never had to send the one, Nicole, because she ended up getting 4 letters, and I just didn't send the one from the education administrator. So airing my dirty laundry here, I guess. All right. It's all good, but you just try, Dr. Stevens. I'm sure there's somebody that saw you do stuff that you could put their name down. Or like I said, go back to your residency. And if it's the exact same people, then just.
Yeah, I think that's the complicated factor, that in both my resident and fellow roles, I had essentially the same group of supervisors. And so I think with removing the department chair, it limits how many I have left. But I think as long as I can utilize other colleagues that I've worked with very closely, but weren't necessarily a direct clinical supervisor, I think I should have sufficient. So that helps answer my question. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I think that was a great idea. Good. All right. Who else?
I can answer there was a question in the chat about asking retired physicians. Again, you can ask emeritus faculty if they would write a recommendation letter. We look at, what their last appointment was. So if they were an emeritus associate professor or a emerita professor, we would look at that last rank on whether or not they have the appropriate rank to write a letter. Oftentimes it's the emeritus faculty that actually declines. So even if you list them, they could say, I'm happy to do it, or they can say, I've been out of the game for a while and I appreciate the thought, but no. So it's more of, they're certainly still qualified. You don't lose your reputation because you've retired. But I would say they may not be the most, they may not write one.
Right. And for CCLCM, if you read our requirements, we ask that you only put in one emeritus and that they are still involved academically since they received emeritus and it's within 3 years. And I agree with Nicole, a lot of times they just say, I don't want to write, just because they don't have any admins or anything, and they just don't want to write a long letter and have to upload it and all that. What else do we have here? This is yes. So yeah, so if your primary area of excellence, the site said clinical service, but it really covers, it's called professional service, clinical and administrative. So if you pick that as your primary area or teaching, for associate professor, you need a regional Midwest reputation. If you just came to the clinic and you're applying for associate professor, then it could be a reputation where you were. Maybe you were in the Northwest, so it would be a Northwest regional reputation because you just got here. So it doesn't mean that you have to wait till you get a Midwest reputation, it's regional. And if you're doing associate professor in research, you need a national. And then when we move to professor, professional service and teaching need a national reputation, and research needs a sustained or expanded reputation, which could be still national or international. I hope that helps, or please ask another question if it didn't. Yeah, it could be international for research, but it's never international for professional service or teaching. Hopefully that helps, Dr. Hirsch.
Yes, it does. Sorry, my camera's not really working. Yeah, thanks so much, Janine. Yeah, there's just been a little bit of confusion because I think some of our criteria for associate and full professor are a little bit different than other academic institutions. So at other academic institutions, for whatever their area of expertise, for associates, national recognition, and then for full professor, it's international. So that's why I was asking, because that criteria, if that is different for our organization, then it may change when we feel that we're ready to go for full professor.
And I will say that those are the standards for research if your primary area of excellence is research.
Got it.
Yeah.
No, this would be for clinical.
Yeah, what are you, Dr. Hirsch? You're research,
Clinical.
right?
No, I'm clinical. I do have a secondary area in research. Yeah.
Okay. So what I'd like to say that goes with that is a lot of people will email or call me and they really have their heart set on a certain primary area of expertise. Like I'm a full-time clinician, but I do so much research that research should be my primary area of excellence. And what I like to remind people is once you get your rank of associate professor or professor, nobody ever asks you what your primary area of excellence was. You just are an associate professor or professor. So it's more important to pick where your reputation is than to pick something just because you feel like that's your what you really like. So if your reputation, is in research, it's most likely that you do research 80 to 100% of the time. So when you think of research, it's almost always people from Learner Research Institute. And when you think of a clinician who's doing research 1-2 days a week, that's most likely always going to be their secondary or their final area of excellence, because they just, when they're out lecturing, when they're getting on committees, they're getting on these things because of their professional service, their clinical service on all these committees. So they're really known for that and not their research. So I just wanted to put that out there. Any other questions anybody has? You know, the most difficult things are to put your CV in our template. And that's actually a lot easier than it used to be because of the way the template looks. But really the hardest thing to do is pick your external referees. So do yourself, me and my coworkers, do your referees and the committee members a favor by picking very, 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 very carefully. Because what'll happen is we'll get people that write back and say, oh, I was their mentor when they were in residency. It seems like, according to your email, I can't write. And so I say, you're correct, you can't write. Mentors can never be an external referee because they're not arm's length. So then I'll just quietly remove them from your application, inactivate them. And now you have 13 names to go by instead of 14 external names. And immediately when we email everybody to ask them to write a letter, between 1 and 4 people drop out immediately. My son's getting married. I have an illness. I'm changing jobs and I won't be able to do it. I got a promotion. I'm too busy. So now we're down to like 10 names and we have to get 6 letters. So if any of them, of the other ones have an issue with them, it's going to delay your application because now my computer system is going to email you and say, you need to add more names. And that could be anywhere from like 8 to 10 more names. There are some people I've had to ask up to 35 external referee names. And Elisa's shaking her head. Yeah, I mean, it happens.
Okay, I do want to say that that's an outlier.
It's really far out there. It's an outlier, but I've had people that I couldn't use a lot of their letters. Then I told them what was wrong and they have to add more names. You're not, I don't say who, but I just say you're not picking them carefully. And then they send me back names and I review the names next to their CV and I see they once again picked people from where they used to work or train from the same institutions. And then I'm like, okay, these names still aren't good. Let's start over again.
Diane, can I add just a couple comments?
Oh, please. Yes.
Sorry, because I do, obviously, on our end. And so there's a couple of other things. Please make sure that when you're picking the your referees that they match. So for example, an associate professor can only pick an associate professor or a professor.
Well, wait, let me stop you 1 second. At Cleveland Clinic, you cannot do that.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't know that. Okay, so there might be different rules.
Must be professor, no matter if you're going for associate professor or professor.
Okay, and then what about the NIH grants? Do you guys do that? Because we accept, Nicole, correct me again, we accept people who, faculty members who have NIH grants?
Yes.
So that's another.
That work at the NIH.
Correct. Yeah,
Yes.
I'm sorry. So that's one of the, and then another common mistake, unfortunately, is that I have seen people who pick faculty members that are within case. So the UH Metro, CCLs, like it's such an easy thing to forget, but we have seen that a lot. And unfortunately, we've had to disqualify them. And the last thing is that another issue, and that has really nothing to do with the, it has more to do with the division. I've seen divisions that are so small, like a pediatric, I'm going to make one like pediatric cardiology, and there's barely anybody in that actual division. So we've asked the faculty member, please expand to pediatrics or to cardiology, and they got their letter. So if we come, or if Diane comes back to you with new names, it might just be to expand your referees, because you don't know where you might be known, but it's very difficult with smaller specializations.
Right. And that, I think that is in our requirements checklist, that you can expand out like Eliza said, if you need to. And you know, the one person we emailed recently, my coworker Bev, they said, I'm running out of names of people who know me. And she's like, but they're external. You're allowed to pick people that don't know you. In fact, those are the best letters of people who are like, wow, I've seen them talk maybe, or I've read one of their papers, but I've never met them. And I've reviewed their CV and personal statement, and wow, they're great. They definitely have the reputation you're looking for. Right. Those are the best. So don't think that if you don't know somebody, they won't write. And that's why I ask you to pick people carefully, because the people that do write are spending at least probably 2 hours on these letters or more reviewing everything. So we don't want to waste anybody's time. So we want you to pick carefully. So if they write a letter, we can use it, you know, yeah.
Yeah. So again, for the case rule, associate professor for associate professor and professor for professor for the Cleveland Clinic, Learning College of Medicine, they have said everyone referees just needs to be a professor. It's just the rule at that location. So I don't know if everyone's from the clinic. So I just want to make that distinction. Yes. And then just taking a step back about, you know, what the whole packet looks like. You as the candidate submit your CV, you can annotate it, you can, you know, organize it, use the subheadings of international, national, regional, and local service. And then you have your personal statement, you have your teaching portfolio, and then your, you know, your supervisor, your chair, your center director, or institute director is talking about your impact on the department, your institution, and the field, right? So this is now someone who has that relationship with you and is advocating. They are the one that is nominating you. The Committee on Appointments and Promotions are your peers, right? So they are saying, this is the standard at CASE. This is the standard in the School of Medicine. We agree that they have met the qualifications and we are recommending them for this promotion. And then we want two different kinds of referees, those who have direct knowledge. So these are your former students and trainees. These are your colleagues who have taught with you, who have served with you, who know the impact that you have done and they've seen it firsthand. And then it's these external referees. And as Deneen said, these are people who don't know you. They are not invested, but they know of you. So they can recognize, you know, from your CV, the impact you have on the field, or they are aware of your reputation and they would seek you out to weigh in on matters. There is a level of expertise that you have reached, and it is recognizable to those experts and professors already in that field. And so that's kind of the 360 that we're looking for. And when you're picking your external referees, you know, go to the conferences, find people you can network. I know this has been a little harder the past couple of years, as much as the conferences have tried to do networking on Zoom. It has its challenges, but I think we're emerging a little bit. And, you know, with those presentations, make the effort, you know, attend those conferences, those people that are professors that you're interested in, introduce yourself, get their card. And then when it is time to get promoted, you know, you've got some idea of who you might write down.
Right. That's so true. And, you know, somebody once said to me, so do like 50% of the people that apply pass? And the answer is it's really like 99%, probably even higher. So like they said earlier, we really want you to succeed. And most of you have done everything you need to already. You just made to make sure that you put it all in your CV and explain everything in your personal statement and really spell it out why you have that reputation. So you make it easy on the referees and the reviewers to say, yes, this person has reached this reputation. So it's important not to leave things out. You know, I had somebody say, well, I'm not going to list all my mentees. I'll just list like 5. And I'm like, but you're applying for professor. It's a new appointment. And so you're saying you've been in the field like 20 years and you've only like mentored 5 people. The committee's going to look at that and say, what's wrong? Where in your head you thought, well, that's too many to list. I don't feel like it. So it's important to just put everything in. And so these packets do succeed usually because everybody's doing such a great job that they have the reputation already. And we help you. When you hit submit, if something's wrong, we'll go over it with you. We'll email you and say, hey, your CV is not right, or your personal statement needs to be 2 pages and you did 3, or when we glanced at your personal statement, it was almost entirely acronyms. That's not a good idea, because the people on the committees that are going to review you, they're smart physicians and scientists, but they're not in your field most likely. So if you're in dermatology, a geneticist maybe, and a family medicine doctor may be the 2 reviewers for your packet. So you want to make it in layman's terms that they can understand everything and don't put acronyms everywhere. All right. So is there an expectation of the number of published papers for associate or full professor? Nicole, why don't you take that one?
Yeah, I think I answered that earlier on, and no, there's not a specific number, and we rely heavily on your department chair and the committee on appointments and promotions, because what is standard in one field does not, is not typical of another field. It also depends if you are a team scientist, or if your research took 3 years and you published a paper. We're looking for impact. And so if it comes out and it's something that, your chair goes on about and talks about, listen, this is the number, but here's how it has changed our field. And this is how many times it's cited. And, there are certainly people with more publications, but I can't, think of someone who's made a greater impact on X, Y, or Z. So what Dineen was talking about moves it from just telling a reviewer what you've done to helping them appreciate what that means. So I can say, I won an award, but without kind of explaining it, annotating it, you don't know if this is a participation award for showing up, or if this is something that is given once a year to the entire discipline, right? Like to someone in the entire, it's huge, right? So just a name, it may be so well known within your discipline that it's obvious to your chair and to a few other people, but the people that are evaluating it may not be in your discipline. So it's on you to say, I won this award, and this is, how it is given, or who it's given to, or what it means. And then it just makes it that much clearer about why we should support your promotion.
Yeah. See how easy it is? Any other questions? So, yeah, so when I said in the chat that external must be at CCLCM, I did not mean that they work here. So when you're applying for CCLCM of CWRU for a promotion or a new appointment, your external referees all must be professors. Now, if you're someone who works at UH, the VA, Metro, or CASE, you're allowed to pick some associate professors if you're going for associate professor. But that is not the way it works at CCLCM. So if you look on the requirements checklist for associate professor and professor, the one line even says there is no difference between the application for associate professor and professor. The only difference, for you would be the reputation, different reputations for each rank, but all your external must be professors. And, follow the rules. They're really long rules in the requirements checklist, but please follow them. They come from years of issues that I've spelled everything out for you, how you should pick. And the thing that I'm going to get embroidered on a pillow or a t-shirt, maybe I'll wear it one time, is when in doubt, leave them out. So if you have to email me and tell me 10 different ways how this external referee's got to be okay, then you should just not use them. And again, it's hard to pick them, but if you don't pick the right ones, it does delay your application. Yes, you can submit the same names you did for associate. We're not going to remember.
Sorry, I didn't mean to laugh. I apologize.
We have, I think she chuckled because we have like hundreds of applications, so we won't know. And as long as they agree to write again, Yes. Now, if they send back the exact same letter with an old date and the word associate professor on it, then my office is gonna email that referee and say, what? We need this updated, please. But sure, feel free to use them. Any other questions? We love questions. Throw them out there. Any other pearls of wisdom, Nicole?
That was it. You covered it all.
Lisa? Everything. All right, so the main thing is apply, and the other thing is keep your CV up to date. So I know it's not popular, but put a reminder on your Outlook every month or every quarter and remind yourself to update your CV. So when you go to apply, you're not going back in your calendar or your phone trying to figure out, now, where did I give that presentation? And what residents did I lecture this year at the clinic? Or all that stuff, just put it on there. And you don't need to put each one separately. So say you give a lecture 3 times a year to third-year residents. Just put it on there when it started. So it's going to say 2019-present. You don't have to say it was April 7th, and then it was March 4th and November 3rd. You just have to put, I do it 3 times a year. This is the topic. And I do it to this audience. And I've been doing it from this year to present, or whenever it ended.
Janine, I actually have another comment on this, just an example of that, something that I went through. I had this awesome faculty member who would, he was in the middle of his promotion process, and I would literally be getting like CVs from him maybe once a month, because he knew the importance of he kept on asking me, is it okay? I said, absolutely. And kept on getting new CVs because he knew how important it was. And it was a slight change, but he saw the importance of updating it.
We got to get gold stars for people. We really, because some people just they're on the ball. And you know what? We encourage you, when you submit your application, that's not the last time you're going to upload your CV. We encourage you, like Eliza said, anytime you have an update, just upload a new one. In the Cleveland Clinic system, the newest one you upload will be what we use. So if we email your referees again, your external, and you have a new uploaded one, that's the one they're going to get. Before you go to our CAP meeting, we're going to email you and say, your packet is complete. Congratulations. You'll be going to our CAP committee in the next few months. Please send us an updated CV. Because it's, we want all your newest stuff on there. So yes, keep updating. Is this being recorded? It sure is, Dr. Lee. And it will probably take me a week to get it on the website, but let me just share my screen here. And I'm going to show you our website. Okay, so the Lerner College of Medicine website is on the Cleveland Clinic. If you just Google, CCLCM, it's going to come up. Cleveland Clinic Lerner College of Medicine. If you already started an application, you could type in CCLCM portal, and the link to our portal is going to come up for you to log in to work on your application. But when you're on our website, we have so much good stuff on it, but I'll just go over appointments and promotions. Here it is on the side here. We're under faculty, and we're going to go to the appointments and promotions. And there's how to apply, there's how to transfer, there's the benefits you get. There's a page that tells you what the review process is like it's got to go to the provost, the president. And then there's a tab called resources. If you click on resources, you'll see here that there's 4 old videos on here. So December of 2020, September of 2020, and 2 from 2022. So each recording has a little bit different information. It's really all the same, but because people ask different questions, there'll be some different information on it. So those are all on here for you, as well as tons of other good stuff, like these requirement worksheets I keep talking about, these checklists. Let's go to the promotion one. And here is where you'll see, I'm going to expand. And it's long, but don't be scared. Under referee names, there's all this information on external referees and colleague referees. This is a long list of you should not do this, but you should do this. And how you pick colleague referees, trainee referees, and don't forget to hit submit. And it says here that make sure you anytime you can upload a new CV. So yes, please utilize this information. Hopefully before you email us. And then if you're not sure, then, oh, I wasn't sharing my screen.
I can see it.
You can see it?
Yeah, you're sharing, Denise.
Oh, okay. Somebody said I wasn't. Russell said he only saw a black screen. Russell, I hope you see it now. But yes, yeah, so utilize this information, because a lot of times when somebody emails me a question, the easiest thing for me to do is just go to this and copy and paste exactly the question they asked me to answer. So a lot of it's here already, built up from all these years. Okay, Russell, yeah, it must be something on your end, but all I'm sharing, Russell, is the requirements checklist that I think you know where those are at already. So yeah, utilize the website, but email us, Faculty Affairs CCLCM with at ccf.org with any questions. And if I don't know it, I will be reaching out to the fine ladies at Case School of Medicine, and they will let me know the answer. Then I'll know it for the next person, and I'll get back to you with the answer. And then I'll be a little smarter than I was the day before. All right, anything else from anybody?
Thank you for the invitation, Denise. And thank you so much for attending, everyone.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Nicole and Eliza. That was wonderful. All right, yay. All right, go out there and apply and promote. You know, why not? Do it. Okay, well, everybody have a great evening. Thank you. Bye-bye.